Attention!
Welcome to the Film Mages Podcast, where the popcorn is our ammunition, the couch is our foxhole, and the cinema is our place of worship.
Now let me see your war face.
Happy New Week, everybody.
Woohoo!
Happy Friday.
Happy
I gotta find the sweet spot on my mic.
Oh, yeah. Where is it?
Where is it? Ooh, just found
Alexis, you don't have a sweet spot on your mic, do you? It's just every part of that
it's
mic
just
is
all
sweet.
It's all sweet and no savory.
Yeah, no, my little lavalier that I like to clip onto the pillows or my shirts or whatever.
You're such a fucking creature of comfort.
Yes, creature of comforts for sure.
You have by far and away the comfiest setup of anybody.
Yeah. If I could clip this mic to my shirt, I would.
Yeah.
We should just do that. Get big gold chains and just have it be bling.
Hello, everyone.
Yeah, my
Welcome
favorite
to the
is
film.
when I'm like straight up just laying on my side in bed with like my head under a pillow and I just clip it to the pillow like in front of me.
Nice.
That's
Nice.
honestly the best.
Mr. Relaxation over here.
I am so jealous. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Film Majors Podcast. I'm Zack.
I'm Mick.
I'm Alexis.
Wow.
You always have to have that, like,
We need the
suspense.
pause.
Because you never know, will she be here?
But she will.
But she
every
will
time.
be. She
She's
will
here
be every time.
Fucking
Is
time.
it-
Every
is-
episode.
Is Maraschino in the building?
Maraschino is in the
ooh,
cocktail.
That's a sweet cocktail.
It's sweet
Got
and
some
round.
maraschino. Ooh, hey, what is that in that cocktail? What's going on?
Ooh, very good. Very good. Well, it is September 11th. I haven't forgotten.
All right, well, skating right past that because there's been far too much of that on this podcast.
Has there?
Yeah,
There's
let's.
been
Yeah,
enough.
I feel like just
guys, what's going on in
don't
there?
even
What's
pause
going
at the
on?
stop sign. Keep going.
Yeah, it's Cali stop, roll right through.
Exactly.
So yeah,
exactly.
what's been going on with you guys? What have you been up to? Have you seen any films, any movies, any shows?
I have
Don't
seen...
you dare say Love Island.
No, I've stopped because that show's over. I didn't even catch the finale. I haven't really been watching anything. Just been busy.
Yeah.
Busy with work. Today I
Working
shot this fun thing where we were driving go-karts.
Oh, that's
This
kind of
big
fun.
arcade. Yeah, that was super fun. I had fun with that.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right.
And
Alexis?
watched a show called Father Ted, which is an Irish comedy, which is pretty good.
All right.
It's a sitcom with three fathers all living together. It's basically just the main sitcom premise of, my roommates are so awful, but it's with like priests in Ireland.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
it's pretty good.
It's what I live with every day.
It's from the 90s, so it's not really like super relevant.
okay.
Mm-hmm.
And that's literally all I got.
Well,
That's all I could conjure for this one.
thank you for your contribution.
Of course.
Alexis.
We already talked about Bottoms last time, right?
Sure did.
Yes,
sure
we did.
Yeah, so I think I
gotta
was
watch that.
I was rewatching The Queen's Gambit recently.
I never saw that.
And
I couldn't get through it.
you've never seen it, Zach? What's
No.
wrong with you?
I don't know. I heard it was good. I mean, I like Anya Taylor-Joy, but I never checked it out.
She has like
Wow.
the cutest
saw Squid
little
Game either.
face.
Really? You never saw Squid Game?
No, I never saw Squid
I never
Game.
saw
And
Squid
you
Game
call
either.
yourself... Really? Neither of you saw Squid Game?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I kept meaning to, and I never watched it.
As someone who watched it, who bought into all the hype, it is legit, like, solid.
All right.
Yeah, it's not... I
I
wouldn't
think it's
say
just-
it's mind-blowing.
I feel like I don't love violent TV shows. I don't know why. Like, I noticed that, like, it's a pattern of, like, I just tend to skip shows that are, like, on the more, like, violent side for some reason. Like, it's, like, it doesn't, like, naturally appeal to me for some reason. Except for
One
zombie
might
shit.
say-
Love zombie shit.
It's gratuitous.
Okay, David Shear. Jesus.
Yeah.
It's
for real.
gratuitous violence.
Interestingly, I don't watch that much violent TV either. And I watch a lot of violent movies. I don't know what
Yeah.
that is. I don't know.
Nice.
I watched Midnight Mass again recently.
Nice.
I can't wait to rewatch that.
Oh, that's a good
I'm
one.
so excited.
Yeah.
That's gonna be a
Spooktober.
Spooktober thing. Also, I was talking with a friend, and for me, I know it's kind of cheesy, but Sleepy Hollow by Tim Burton
Oh yeah,
is shit. You gotta
That-
roll it.
that
That's like
was-
a week 1 of October movie.
that was on my very first Spooktober list.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh, it's a great one.
Cute.
So Alexis, Queen's Gambit, you've been enjoying your rewatch? You've been having fun?
Yeah, I think I'm like halfway through it again already. So we'll see what happens.
Well,
We'll see how it ends this time.
What have you been watching?
I saw 2 films that I had not seen before.
Nice.
Both of which are alien-based horror films from the 1990s.
Oh, cool.
One was Robert Rodriguez's The Faculty.
I've never seen that. I've never even heard of that.
It's the third original horror script from Kevin Williamson from the 1990s that deals with high schoolers. The other 2 being I Know What You Did Last Summer and Scream. Well, neither The Faculty nor I Know What You Did Last Summer is as good as Scream by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah.
Both very fun movies. I really enjoyed The Faculty.
If you had to rank them.
It would be a toss-up between obviously Scream's number 1.
Of
It would
course.
kind of be a toss-up between I Know What You Did Last Summer and The Faculty for the 2 and 3 spots because I like the atmosphere of I Know What You Did Last Summer more. But The Faculty has a better cast and I think delivers on its premise more. I Know What You Did Last Summer, if the sequence
Yeah.
on the boat weren't so good, that ending would be totally a fucking wash for me.
Yeah, the ending really
The-
ruined it for me.
The reveal of the villain just is very disappointing.
Yeah, Alexis, I think we watched that together, if I recall correctly.
Yeah,
that was my
but I mean,
first time.
Yeah. I grew up watching that movie because, that was an OG scary movie that my sister
Right.
grew up with. So we
I
watched
think
it a
if you
lot
grow
when I
up
was a
with
kid.
it, yeah, if you grow up with it, I'm sure it's fine. But just when I found out that oh, this is the guy that wrote Scream, and I Know What You Did Last Summer starts so strong. So when it kind of goes
really
to its
does.
third act, I was like,
Yeah, just because Scream has such a good mystery and such a good resolution to it.
right, yeah.
But that's
And
not what I watched. I watched
love
The
a-
Faculty.
I love a salty sea dog.
I know you
villain.
do. I know you do.
We do know
They're the
that.
best.
We know that.
But The Faculty has a very young Elijah Wood.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, I think it was probably the last project he shot before Lord of the Rings.
Oh, crazy.
And it also has a young Josh Hartnett. Jon Stewart is in the movie.
Really?
Yes.
Who does he play?
He plays a teacher.
Okay, I could see that.
Yeah.
Is he basically just Jon Stewart?
Yeah, more or less.
Yeah, I can imagine.
But yeah, just Salma Hayek is briefly in it. It's
Oh.
it's a very stacked cast.
A Rodriguez staple.
Yeah, and then there's some real who's not of the late 1990s, early 2000s, people who were a celebrity for 2 seconds,
Right.
Femke Jensen.
Oh yeah, I love Femke Jensen.
Do you?
Femke
I know the name.
Jensen.
A babishka.
Yeah, she plays Jean Grey in
She's
the
in
original
X-Men?
X-Men movies.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, that's why I know that name. I had a big crush on her.
Of course you did. She's very beautiful.
Gorgeous.
But The Faculty is kind of like a Body Snatchers movie.
yeah. Okay.
It's there are definitely moments where he's just full blown ripping off the thing.
Of course.
And the effects look much worse.
Of course.
Because it is using early CGI.
Well, it was only 15 years after, so technology. Wait a minute.
But overall, very fun movie.
Nice.
I had a good time. And
The
then-
Faculty. Check it out.
Yeah, I think that's a good movie to just put on with a group of people, of varying degrees of liking horror, and I think everyone will enjoy it.
Nice.
And then I also watched Species,
Yay!
which Mick spoke about last time, and the roommate has been speaking about for years.
What'd you think?
I mean, it's a fucking ball. It's a blast.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
And a roommate looked over at me while we were watching it, and he was like, "Are you enjoying this?" And I was like, "Yeah, man.
Yeah,
like,
it's like
this is so 100% my jam."
You know what I mean? Where it's like the perfect
God.
amount of trash.
Oh yeah,
You know?
yeah. Man, I can't believe that fucking Madsen is really proud of that movie because he is bad.
Yeah, no, I'm still I think he's miscast. I just don't think he's a leading man. Like
No, he's creepy.
No, he's very creepy.
He's generally creepy and untrustworthy, which is something that Quentin Tarantino knows how to play on really
for
well.
real. Alfred Molina in it, though, is my favorite.
Yeah, Molina's great. I mean, The Bone Train.
The Bone Train, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
You say Alfred Molina is just making me think of Boogie Nights.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Boogie Nights.
Yeah.
Great.
He's, not as much of a scumbag in this movie, but he's still a little bit of a scumbag.
He's a little sleazy.
I mean, he's mainly just horny, which...
He's a horny, sleazy nerd.
Listen, who isn't?
Yes.
But,
Yeah, and after we're done recording, don't worry.
hey, but yeah,
There's
overall
touching
species...
going on in front of me.
There's this is not a visual medium.
Not a visual medium,
You
Alexis.
can't prove that.
You can't. There's nothing. Strike that from the record.
But yeah, Species also a fucking blast. And I mean, yeah, H.R. Geiger just like did not have to go as hard as he did.
Oh, he went so hard.
Yeah, he just
Yeah.
went crazy with the designs for that
God,
movie.
I was at a bookstore. I think it's like called like Skylight Books or something like that. It's in Los Feliz, and I have a big thing for coffee table books.
Did they have the Art of H.R. Geiger book?
They had it's H.R. Geiger and then this other Japanese artist.
Yeah,
Which I forget
That's
his name.
where I learned about Species. I found that book in the Eugene Public
Oh,
Library.
no shit. Was
Yeah.
it kind of thin? Like a big, thin, almost like a very luxurious magazine?
No, this might have just been H.R. Geiger then, because this was
Okay.
like a tall book, but
Right.
it was hefty.
Interesting. Yeah, I just love big coffee table books that are like movie shit.
Yeah,
I need to get an H.R. Geiger one.
yeah.
I think that'd be
No,
cool. It would fit well.
I almost got an H.R. Geiger one when I went to the Academy Museum a few weeks ago.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, but
Nice.
I got something else instead.
Oh, what'd you get?
There's a book over there. You'll see it later.
What is it?
It's a horror movie book.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, all right.
Did you see my posters?
Yes,
Sounds
I
about
did.
right.
I got that at
Oh my
Monster
God!
Palooza.
Point out more things. Point out more things visually.
It's
in
a
the room.
visual medium.
Point out more things that the audience can't see.
I thought you said that it wasn't. You can't pick and choose now.
Hey, Alexis, I don't live in the past, okay? I move on.
Hey, it's okay. It's okay.
Patrick.
It's okay.
Oh, there's absolutely no touching happening in front of me. I'm not
That's
seeing
right.
anything.
That's
there.
absolutely
No
right.
touching!
No touching. No touching.
Can I have a bone to pick with the man who was on the treadmill next to me at the gym today. I know
those bones.
he's listening
Pick
to
the
this
bones on
podcast
the bone
because,
train.
who's not a fucking, fan of the film majors. But
You're goddamn
I
right.
like
You're
to
correct.
goddamn right.
That's a rhetorical question.
Yeah. When I'm on the treadmill, I get really distracted. I honestly cannot fucking get through a run or walk without doing 10 things at the same time. So I like to watch anime now while I'm doing my runs. And this man,
Hold on. I'm
separate,
shocked.
this old ass man. Yeah.
I'm
An
so
anime that's
shocked.
about friendship.
Wait, is there ice skating involved?
There's no ice skating. It's some high school girl, she's from some small town and she, comes to Tokyo because she dreams of being a fucking politician in her future. But she, she's like, I just want to make friends and shit. And it is the most cute little pure show ever, But 3 times I saw this man fucking just dogging me on the side. And I'm just yes, my dude, I'm watching a cutesy fucking flowery anime while I'm fucking running on this treadmill. Get off my back. Anyways,
when you
fuck
say
that
dogging
guy.
you mean he's glancing, making not a good look at you, judging you?
Yes,
kinda thing?
I could feel the judgment from this white man. And I was just what is your problem? I'm enjoying my life.
I want to judge you for that, but also, like, at the gym today, I was listening to a podcast about Uncle Vanya, so...
Oh, nice.
I had to stop because I was trying to do research for this episode, and I had to stop because it was too... And I listen to podcasts at the gym. Occasionally, I'll listen to our podcast at the gym because I'm, like, doing quality control. But these fucking men were just... too old and British for me. I was
old British men? Really?
On the podcast. Talking about Uncle Vanya. I was like trying
I thought you meant at Crunch Gym.
Yeah, I just saw old people.
Tally
And I
ho,
was
chap,
like,
lift the dumbbells.
Yeah, no, I feel closer to the grave. No, but I was trying to fucking do bench press, and then I'm just like, yes, and Uncle Vanya, the Scholastic Books edition is simply unacceptable. And I'm like, I am losing energy as I listen to this. It has to stop.
My God.
See, that's why I work out to the Mission Impossible theme, and it's always an amazing workout.
Yeah.
Like, literally, when I'm on the treadmill, I put on that theme, and I have the high knee kick with the hand chop thing. I'm doing the Ethan Hunt run.
You're trying to do the cruise run.
And I'm just like, this is like a good casual workout. And I look over, and I'm running the fastest out of anyone. Like I have it going so quick, but you can't go slow when you're listening to that.
Well,
music.
you need to intersperse so you don't tire yourself out. You need to intersperse. Oh my God! What's the other theme from Mission Impossible? Dun 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 dun. The
plot theme.
Yeah,
yes.
you need to intersperse the plot theme so you're pacing yourself.
That's for the thing where you get your heart rate back down. You have some water. Yeah, that's true. I've actually done that.
Of course you
I've
have.
actually done that. It's that and the theme from RRR is also a great one to do chest presses too. That's a really good one.
For all the weeaboos out there, I will put the One Piece, like the very first arc of One Piece, the opening song for that one. I'll put that shit on, and which is a show about pirates. It's about pirates this time. And it's also about friendship on the open sea, guys, with some salty sea dogs. So
I thought it'd be the doubloons be most important, but it really be the friendship we made along the way.
I forgot that the Netflix recently put out a live adaptation of a live action adaptation of One Piece, and
good.
I fucking love it. Oh my God.
Was it actually good? I love it.
I'm in love with the clown. Yeah. I was like, I'm like 4 episodes in. I think there's only like 8 episodes, but they're like an hour long each, So it's like, I really put in like some work watching 4 of those fucking episodes.
So, as a resident weeaboo, is this like our first like good live action adaptation of an anime?
Yeah. No, I kind of feel like this is the first time I've ever been like, oh, this is actually decent. This is actually like kind of good. Like, nice. I don't know. I love the casting and everything. So,
also,
I'm having a good time.
Would you consider Speed Racer to be an anime?
I think so.
Speed Racer's an anime.
Yeah.
So it's our second.
Like the original Speed Racer?
Yeah, the TV show.
Yeah. Of course, that's an anime.
Yeah. Okay, so we got 2. Okay. We got 2 now.
I still haven't seen. I gotta watch.
It's so good.
I know.
It's so good.
I gotta watch it.
Well, do we have anything else?
No.
All right. Well, then let's just hibbity hop on out of what's going on.
Woo! I think that's like the shortest we've ever done right now.
I like it. I kind of like it.
We came in under 20 minutes on that.
That's good.
I'm proud of us.
Let's maybe do that more. Famous last words.
Yeah,
it's never going to happen again.
I'm going to do it so much longer next time.
I'm sure.
Well, hello, everyone. We're back. I hope you enjoyed your break. And it's Asian Cinema Month, and we're into our big topic already. Aren't you glad?
I have a question.
What's your question?
So I listened to the Old Boy episode, which is really good.
I thought so.
How come we don't have a piece of music for Asian Cinema Month?
We don't have a piece of music every month. It's only kind of when the fancy strikes me.
Oh, interesting.
But, if we want to do it every month, we can.
Yeah.
I don't know what it would be. I feel like
I don't know either.
There's too many different countries to, try to do music from.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I didn't want to get into like a sticky territory.
Sticky territory?
Yeah. I didn't want to do something that would be perceived as racist.
Sticky territory?
Wow, for once.
Like when you guys have
Jesus.
free time together?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, the territory we're going to get into after
I just
this.
wanted to like clarify that. Yeah.
Yes.
No.
No.
Okay.
Good.
That's good.
No,
That's
that's
good.
good. That's good for the audience. That's good. That's
Leave
good.
that in.
That's
Leave that
good.
in.
Good,
Leave
good,
that in.
good,
Leave that in.
So, guys, the big topic of the day.
So big.
Doth
Did we
thou
have one?
remember it?
I remember it.
Yeah.
Alexis texted it to the group chat.
Yeah, I know.
All right. Well, did you read it?
Yes,
Do you have stuff for it?
I do.
Alexis, lay it down.
Lay it down.
Perfect. Movies that you didn't expect were gonna break your fucking heart.
Don't go breaking my heart. Don't go breaking my.
All right.
Leave that
So,
in. Leave that in.
I've got one.
You do?
Yeah.
I didn't know you had a heart.
Yeah. I have big feelings.
Big feelings from the big man,
You're goddamn right.
the big Greekman.
A movie that made me feel big feelings was David Cronenberg's The Fly.
That broke your heart.
The ending of
Really?
The Fly is fucking heartbreaking. And there's a lot of heartbreaking moments throughout.
You mean the birthing scene?
No, I do not mean her, like, dream that she has about... No.
I always forget that that's a dream.
Yeah, you forget that she doesn't actually birth, like, a fly
large
pupa.
larva.
No, so the couple of scenes in The Fly that really get me are the bit where the scene where Goldblum's ear falls off in front of Gina Davis,
That freaked me out.
and then he just starts breaking down about how scared he is. I find that very heartbreaking. The line, I was an insect who dreamed he was a man and loved it, but now that dream is almost over. Said to the person he loves is so sad. And then spoilers for a movie from the 1980s. But the moment where he's fully transformed into the Fly, he's been sent through the telepod and merged with one of the telepods, and he's just like this mess of flesh and machinery and insect parts.
he got Cronenberg.
The hardest anyone's ever been Cronenberg's,
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah.
And he takes the barrel of the shotgun that Gina Davis is aiming at him
Yeah.
and just puts it up to his head when she's like crying and saying that she can't do it. Makes me so sad.
Yeah.
The Fly makes me reliably sad.
Can I ask a question, Alexis? So
Yes.
correct me if I'm wrong, but the text was movies that you didn't expect to break your heart, right?
Yes.
So it's kind of like a surprise. You didn't expect to have your heartstrings pulled, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
I
movies
had,
you didn't know would break your heart.
Yeah, the
Right,
first time
okay.
I saw The Fly, I was probably 15, 16. And yeah, I went in being like, oh boy, I've heard this movie's so fucked up.
Right.
And I was like, I am very sad now.
Feeling.
Yeah. So the Fly was immediately what jumped to mind when you pitched that topic.
I thought of so many different movies, but then I was like, I immediately have to pretty much not count any Pixar movie, because I feel like you go into any Pixar movie knowing that they're going to kill off a parent or do something that is just like trauma related. So the one that came to mind for me was Train to Busan, because it's a zombie movie.
Oh, interesting.
And I thought it was perfect because it goes with Asian Cinema Month too. It's a Korean
Yeah,
movie.
good pick.
And basically, Daddy Gong-yu, literally he is a daddy in this movie. He's taking his daughter, I think, to go see her mother. I guess like they're not together anymore. She's been staying with him, and I think his mother lives with him and stuff. And so they're going to take a train to Busan to go drop her off over there because she's been really missing her mom. And it's very clear that like he's been so caught up with work that like, he's not spending any
He's
time
a busy
with her.
businessman who only has time for business.
He's a businessman who only has time for business. That's right. And so they get on this train, and what happens? There's, on the side, there's this fucking like zombie outbreak shit that's going on, right? Which he's like loosely tied to. But the thing that like broke my heart at the end of the movie is that like it's him, his little girl, and then this pregnant woman who are like the last people standing, basically. And he ends up getting like bitten, and he pushes like his daughter and this woman like in through like this door and like leaves them. And the last thing that he like sees as his like brain is kind of giving into like being infected is the birth of his daughter. And because like throughout the movie you see these moments where like, oh, it's almost like he's having to learn to be unselfish, when it's like very clear at the beginning of this movie this is a very selfish man, and so he kind of like it's almost like he's unlearning that along the way. And like the last thought that he has is like the most unselfish thought of his daughter, and just like the pure joy of like when she was born and like came into that world. And that's the last like thought that he has in his mind before he like succumbs to being infected and like flings himself off of this like moving train or whatever. And that shit just fucking destroyed me for some reason. And I was, I went into this thinking zombie movie, totally fine. It's going to be fun. It's going to be great. And then I'm just like bawling at the end.
Good pick.
That's actually a fantastic segue for two pictures for me that I didn't even realize until Alexis, you said that. A picture. One would be on the zombie topic, Shaun of the Dead, actually, now that I think about it. Now, every time I watch that, it's just a damn good time. But the scene where Simon Pegg's character is pointing the gun at his mom, who's like becoming infected, or the other guy is pointing the gun and he's like holding up a bottle and he's like, stop pointing that gun at my mom. And there's just like tears like rolling down his face, and he has to be the one to do it. And you can still see within her very similar, like her consciousness fighting the virus. And it's like, again, it's a horror comedy that has legit emotions that makes me cry. So even though I won't say like, oh, I didn't expect that when I first saw it, because obviously I didn't, but even when I rewatch it,
it still kind of takes you by surprise.
Yeah, it catches me off guard. So that's.
I feel like I know what your other one is going to be.
Well, my other one is, I don't know if you know what it's going to be, because this is a Korean film.
Oh, definitely not then.
That stars Kang Ho-sung from Parasite and Memories of Murder. But I showed Alexis.
I know what you're going to say.
It's called The Taxi Driver, not Taxi Driver.
Yeah, I need to see that.
Now, that's a movie where he plays a taxi driver during the political unrest. I forget exactly what the event was that was happening in Korea at the time. It's based on a true story.
Saying, where are you?
I know. And he
it's
plays
like
a taxi
some town
driver.
That starts with a G. Yeah.
Yeah, and he has to take this German journalist played by, what's his name? Thomas Kretschmann. And it, honestly, the poster looks like a comedy. The first hour is basically a comedy. But then as the movie develops and he's beginning, because Kang Ho-sung doesn't quite appreciate nor understand the strife that young people are going through, what exactly they're protesting for. And then when he sees and witnesses the police brutality, because he also served, I think, in the military at one point, he is completely confused and his world is turned upside down because the narrative and rhetoric that he's been shrugging off, because he's a working man and it's hard for him to really think about this sort of plight because he also feels victimized just because of his position within society. He witnesses this firsthand and it's really hard for him to process. And then a young boy that they're with, ends up getting killed in the violence, and suddenly this story for the German journalist isn't just some snapshot that he's trying to get. Now it almost feels personal to him, feels personal to Kang Ho-sung, and eventually all of these other taxi drivers like help him escape this zone that they're trying to lock down because of all the unrest. And it is a absolute heart-wrenching film that will make you bawl. So that was a film that completely caught me off guard, where it's another great Korean film that balances tone like crazy. Such a high wire act, but damn, that broke my heart, and I did not see that coming. Please watch A Taxi Driver 2017.
Nice. Good picks. So pivoting a little bit, I don't know if it fully broke my heart, but I was far more moved by James Cameron's Avatar: The Way of Water than I anticipated. The final sequence of that movie is very, very moving and very well executed.
What is it again?
Also, Titanic. I didn't expect. We discussed this on our Titanic episode.
The whole movie where the ship goes down. I wasn't expecting that.
Okay, but
I
expressed my attitude about Titanic, which is that
it was a rom-com.
I thought it was gonna be too schmaltzy to really move me, and I was moved.
Did you bet against Big Jim?
I didn't. It was a mistake. And
did.
I guess with Avatar:
never
The Way
bet
of
against
Water,
Big Jim.
the same thing. Him reflecting on his the first time he hunted fish with his son, and the scene of them lowering his Jake's son's Nateum's body into the kind of anemone forest. It's just visually stunning and very moving. And RoboCop. RoboCop. Gets
interesting pick.
RoboCop is a very sad movie.
Yes, it is.
And Peter Weller does not get enough credit.
Kind of like Frankenstein a little bit.
Very much so.
Yeah.
But Peter Weller does not get nearly enough credit for that performance. He is so good. And Paul Verhoeven has talked about how, initially they were thinking about someone like Schwarzenegger for the role of RoboCop, like a big, jacked action guy.
Right.
And when they saw how bulky and restrictive that suit was, he was like, oh no, I need someone who's a great actor.
Right.
Who can
and also
sell,
just has a
sell this
slimmer
character.
build that they can put this big suit on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, RoboCop, very moving movie.
Good choice.
When Murphy's when RoboCop is Murphy had a wife and a son, what happened to them? It's
Yeah.
and the music. Bum, 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 bum. So good.
Yeah, very good. Very good.
Yeah, RoboCop, heartbreaking film. And also
Okay.
maybe the greatest film ever. Maybe. Perhaps. It's up there.
RoboCop?
It's up there. It's in the conversation.
Okay.
RoboCop, fucking flawless movie. Flawless. Have you seen it, Alexis?
I think I did see it one time. I'm
Paul
gonna not say
Verhoeven,
anything
maybe.
else because I feel like I'm gonna bring down the vibe.
Listen.
I honestly don't really.
This is a
Don't
place for
remember a
honest
lot of
opinions.
it.
Come back to it sometime. Give it a shot.
It's really good.
I don't think
Okay.
you'll be disappointed.
And great special effects. Legit great.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
So the Taxi Driver was also on my list.
Yeah.
But Sarah Polley, who did Women Talking, did this movie in 2013 that I sent to you guys the other day. That's called Take This Waltz with Michelle Williams, and then she's married to Seth Rogen's character, but then this guy moves in across the street, and she just I don't know, there's just something going on between them, and I don't know, it was just very visually moving. There's this whole segment, the clip that I sent you guys, where they're literally on this ride, and it has been so long, but after I saw that clip I was like, oh, I remember this moment, and I don't know why it was so powerfully broke my heart, but it was I think she realized she was in love with him, and within the same breath almost realized, oh, this is never going to work out. There's nothing good will come from this, I don't know. It's always surprising when somebody can use silence to be so emotive. But Sarah Polley, I think, is just really good at that. And the other one that really surprised me when I watched it was The Big Short. And that was just more of like I think I started crying like halfway through it when like I just realized like, oh my God, these people were so horrible. Like, I think, contextually, we were all like in high school, or like Zach, you were probably in middle school when like the recession hit and stuff. But, like we were all like, even if we didn't understand like what a big deal it was at the time.
What,
2008,
09?
2009.
Yep.
I hate to tell you this,
crash.
I was in elementary school.
What? Oh my God.
I am cry. I was going into my freshman year of high school, so.
The baby boy.
God, if you hear some creaking, that's just Mick and Alexis's bones.
The bone train.
Yeah, that's true.
That's why whenever Alexis and I do the mambo, it's called the bone train.
You don't. You hop in your coffin, old man.
Close the door after me.
Closed casket for both of you.
Yeah, I think it's just like, I don't know, like the whole movie just kind of builds up this whole, like the whole premise of like, oh, people are just shitty and people are just freaking. What are you laughing about, Zach? I see you on this visual medium. I see you laughing. What are you giggling about over there? Are you still thinking I'm old?
Yeah.
He's thinking that we're closer to the grave than he is, but let's be honest.
No, I'm not thinking that.
Let's be honest.
Listen, you gotta account for lifestyle.
I was gonna say, we all know who's gonna go first.
Yeah, I'm gonna make someone upset.
For real, I feel like. I'm not even gonna say.
Live fast, die young, baby.
Little Miss Sunshine, I thought was going to be more comedic than it ended up being. That shit broke my fucking heart when I watched it.
That's a pretty heartbreaking movie, too.
Well, I've got a question for you guys.
Wait, I have two more. I gotta rattle them off.
All right.
So, first, the death, spoiler alert, of my dear Bimba and Luigi from The Wages of Fear. Oh, my God. That movie... So good. I know I've talked about it before, so I'll keep it kind of brief, but holy shit.
Yeah.
I've never had a movie that's just so suspenseful and action-packed and just having it rip my heart out and throwing it into the oil-soaked mud.
Yeah, I remember
we watched that
together for the first time, and we were both like, hell yeah, like,
we loved
Luigi,
we loved Bimba.
And then...
they completely took the wind out of our sails. And I mean, not like they did a poor choice with their storytelling. It was incredibly effective. But good God, I was just having such a good time watching these gentlemen on their adventure. And then, holy shit, awful. I'm not going to say what happens, but you got to watch Wages of Fear. Very, very good. Also watch Sorcerer, the remake by William Friedkin. And then... another movie that might shock people, like how did you not expect to have your heart broken, but I just didn't know that much about it. I blame Alexis for this.
Why?
Atonement. Good God.
He was like bawling.
I was uncontrollably sobbing, like hiding my face. It was like, I just couldn't control it. Like, I think the credits have been going like for 5 minutes, and I was just sitting there an unfuckable mess. It was awful.
Yeah.
And I mean,
that's what happened to me the first time I watched it too.
Yeah, it's like, because here's the thing. Here's why I wasn't expecting it. I thought Atonement was going to be more in the vein of like Pride and Prejudice. Like this very flowy, beautiful, like old-timey British period piece that's going to end. And maybe, there may be some destitution and some
woe.
Some woe and yellow fever. But no, there's legit some heart-wrenching stuff that movie ends on. And good God. Ripped me apart. That movie ripped me apart so badly that I promptly bought it on Blu-ray just so I have yet to see it again. But if I'm ever feeling like, you know what, it's
time to have a sad.
It's time to have a sad. I'm going to throw on Atonement, which, by the way, masterpiece film. Masterpiece. I've often said I love Dunkirk. I think they did a great job with the depiction of Dunkirk, but I think historians would agree that Atonement did it more historically accurately with how much people were on the beach. Like their version of Dunkirk is fantastic, even if it's just for a scene. So if you're a lover of World War II history and that period and just a beautiful, heart-wrenching story that's superbly acted, and the costumes are amazing. We all love the green dress.
Okay, I gotta see this movie because I keep fucking hearing about this green dress from both of you.
In the library,
green
my
dress
dude.
is so good.
That's a young Saoirse Ronan. You got James McAvoy in there. You got my boy Keira Knightley. It's just all the goods.
Hell
it's all
yeah.
the hits. So yeah, thank you,
All the
Alexis,
big ones,
for
all the
that
good
one.
ones.
You're welcome. Yeah, I'm like, thank you for showing me the Taxi Driver, because that shit also. I feel like, did we watch those in the same night? Because I feel like we had this like.
For our
Yeah,
sake,
because I feel like we
I hope
watched
not.
the Taxi Driver, and then we watched Atonement, and then I was like, we can't cry anymore, and so I threw on Pride and Prejudice to make us feel better.
I like anamorphed into a used tissue.
Wow.
Yeah, but not in a good way.
Okay, I have one more though after this.
All right, Alexis, you do one more and then take us right into it.
Okay, perfect. I feel like I should have expected this, but I didn't. And the first time I saw Call Me By Your Name, I was like crying so fucking hard. Oh my God. The father's speech at the end, how he's like, don't wring yourself out like so much so that like you no longer have anything to like give to people anymore. Like, with letting love break you, basically. And I was just like, why is everything he's saying so real?
Well, you know what?
And
The reason I like
and
that
then Timmy's just crying into the fireplace at the end, and I'm like,
oh, so beautiful.
I'm so
and the great
sorry
music.
for you.
The reason I like that pick is because it's heartbreaking, but at the same time, the love that's coming from the dad is just so reassuring and so heartwarming. So to have your heart broken while also getting it warmed simultaneously at the end of a film,
That's a feat.
That is a feat, and it's incredibly effective. Where you're like, oh, like I think he'll be okay, but fuck,
I'm feeling too much.
Yeah.
I agree. Good choice.
Well, Alexis,
Okay.
why'd you bring this topic up?
Yeah, what's up
what
with
film
that?
inspired this topic, Alexis?
Oh, I just really like crying, so I just thought, why not?
No doubt, you were just in your feels.
No doubt.
Yeah. No, the movie we're actually talking about is Wet Hot American Summer.
So we're actually talking about 2021's Drive My Car, Baby by Ryusuke Hamaguchi.
Hell yeah.
I'm like, do you have it pulled up on Google, Zachy boy?
No, but I can very easily drive my car.
No, it's okay. I can do it.
Now let Alexis do it.
Alexis
This is her
is doing
pick.
it. I got it up.
She's going to use her radio voice.
All right, Alexis, get those pipes nice and lubed up. Get them ready to go. Get them nice and oily.
Perfect.
Get those pipes oily as hell.
All right. So this is the first one that pops up here. All right. An aging, widowed actor takes a directing job in Hiroshima where he's required to get a chauffeur. For insurance reasons. He hires a 20-year-old girl, and despite their initial misgivings, a very special relationship develops between the two. That has
she's
nothing
20.
to do with the movie.
She's not 20.
I thought she was 20.
She's also not
23?
20. She's 23.
She's
I'm like,
23.
who watched
She said
this
5
movie?
years ago.
Who wrote this?
Apparently I didn't.
Was that Google?
Yeah, that was Google.
Google. Come
Google
on,
fucking
man.
F
A
minus.
20-year-old.
Fired.
There's literally a line of dialogue that was like, oh, yeah, this happened 5 years ago when I was 18. Oh, so then you're 23?
Yeah, that is a line of dialogue.
Yeah, there's another line of dialogue where he mentions the whole like, oh, if his daughter had been alive, she would have been 23 right now, and it's significant because it's the same age as this girl.
Yeah, Zach, did you watch the movie?
Yes, I did. So one big thing that synopsis fucking leaves out is like the first. This is a long movie. Alexis was picking I described it as a thick film with 2 C's
Yes,
for her
it is.
episode.
It's like second shy of being 3 hours.
It's 2 hours and 59 minutes.
I timed it. The opening credits happen at minute 32.
I fucking love a late opening credits drop.
Me too.
Me too.
But something that this description neglected to mention is that, like, the first almost, half hour of this movie is his relationship with his wife. Like, when the movie opens, he is not a widower.
I didn't kill my wife.
I don't care. God damn it. I just touched Mick again.
I bet he did kill his wife.
But yeah, this movie has like a lengthy prologue of his relationship with Otto, his wife, because, you need to establish all of the complex dynamics going on there so that when she's gone, we feel that.
Oh, yeah.
Well, Alexis, this was your pick, so please get into why'd you pick this? When'd you watch this?
I watched this almost 2 years ago. I think it was in like January of 2022. And it was, I think, had it already won? No, it hadn't already won for Best International Feature yet, but maybe I'm misremembering. Who cares? It doesn't matter. Nothing matters.
You saw
Reality
it in theaters.
is just perception. Yeah, I did not see it in theater. I saw it on probably HBO Max or something.
You didn't see it in
theaters? Why are you laughing?
I said you saw it in theaters. And
No, I didn't
immediately,
see it.
No.
That was not a yes and right there.
That was a no, and you're fucking stupid.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, but I watched this movie and I think I was just surprised by the ending, which was so during the entire movie, this guy, he's in this play called Uncle Vanya by this playwright named Chekhov or whatever. And this play comes up all the time throughout this movie. Like the lines are going on in the car, like while he's driving, while he's rehearsing. And a lot of times these lines give this like interesting irony to the movie because the lines are relating to different parts of what's happening in his relationships with other people. And at the very
they're commenting
end of
on the events of the film.
Huh?
They're commenting on the events of the film.
Yeah. And at the very end of the movie, it's the final monologue of the character Sonia, but it's played by this woman who is deaf, and so she's using Korean Sign Language to...
we have a correction.
Correction corner from Zack. Zack gets to do it this time. She's not deaf, she's mute.
Oh, she's mute.
She can hear people.
You're right.
Yeah, Zack.
You're right. You know what was funny, though? I was reading something and it called her deaf, and I think that's why I thought
was
that.
it on Google?
But I distinctly remember too now that she's like, oh, I can hear. She just.
But yeah, she's signing this final monologue.
Yeah, and so at the very end of the movie, she's signing the monologue, and this is a very lengthy monologue. But the monologue is basically like the Uncle Vanya character is like, I'm so fucking miserable. Like, how the fuck am I going to go on with my life?
You
and
have
she's
no
just
idea
like,
how
oh,
miserable
we
I
just go on. We struggle. We work. And someday, basically, we get to go to heaven, and then we shall rest. I have faith, it's just this big old long monologue about like having to, like what you have to do in order to survive in the world. And like, eventually there will be something that made this all worth it, and we'll all get to smile about it in the end, even if it's just in the afterlife. And there was something so profound about that. And the way that she, like, the emotion that was in her performance with her sign language was just beautiful. I don't know. I just started fucking bawling at the end. So I just remembered the movie being really good, that it had like a lot of fucking layers and shit to it. And I was like, you know what? It is a thick boy, but I feel like we can like, stick our fork in it, maybe take a little nibble or two.
Oh yeah. I was a hungry lad. I did have to watch this movie over a couple days, But yeah, I ended up running out of time. I've also just been fucking sleeping really badly lately. So I had to take a little pause.
My spells are working. All right.
Well, I don't like that. I'm gonna be the Mick of this podcast for a second here.
Oh, are you going to be offensive?
No, I'm gonna comment on cars.
Oh!
I was my first girlfriend in high school drove a Saab. And I really liked that car, so that was fun for me to see.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because, man, that red Saab 900 Turbo, immaculate. It's in such good shape.
Yeah,
it's one of my. I remember I watched this.
This is what we call an alley-oop to Mick.
The first time I watched this was with Alexis, and I just remember thinking, like, holy shit, that might be one of the best hero cars of any film ever. Just because of how it's shot, how important it is to the character, how important it is narratively, how it's kind of its own character.
I noticed this. It is rare for me to like really notice cars in a movie. It jumped out because it's also like a lot of the driving scenes are very kind of cool tones.
Yeah. And
all the other cars you see on the road are kind of cooler colors.
Like gray and silver and white.
Yeah, this red Saab just fucking pops.
Which is so weird for his character because he is like always like in gray or black, but he drives this. And he's also, he clearly has money, but he has this car that's like over 20 years old?
Something like that, yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm glad you noticed that because it's one of my favorite aspects of this film. It's really, really good.
I was just like shocked by like how sad I was 30 minutes into this movie before his wife died.
Yeah.
I was like, fuck, this is a brutal goddamn situation because Kafuku, our lead character, he leaves to go work on this play in, I believe it's Russia. I believe he's going to do a production of Uncle Vanya in another country. And his flight gets canceled, and he comes home to see his wife just fucking the shit out of another dude. Just going to town on this man. And then we get several lengthy scenes of him just like keeping this all inside and
Keep calm and carry on.
Not saying anything to her. And there's like he has a car accident because he's starting to develop glaucoma.
Yeah.
And then after that, there's like a scene where him and Otto are in their apartment, and she goes, "I love you so much. I'm glad you're with me." And I'm like, oh,
yeah.
And it's playing like this guy is gonna kill himself.
Really?
There were just like so many scenes of like him out in the car, just like the lines of dialogue from the play talking about how miserable he is.
I didn't read it like that.
And I felt like the movie was throwing up a lot of death flags for this guy. And literally moments before he went back into his apartment, like when he was parking his car, I wrote down a note. This film is throwing up a lot of death flags for our boy. Is she gonna die? And then he walked into his apartment, and my next note is, oh shit, good call, Zack. Because then his wife fucking dies, leaving all of these things unsaid and unresolved. And then you're just fucking stewing in those feelings
literally
for another 2 hours and 20 minutes. What the fuck, Alexis?
Literally unsaid, because let's not forget, before this happens, she looks at him in the eye and very much connecting with him and goes, hey, when you get back from work today, we really need to talk. And you go, oh, shit, okay. And then this happens, and then he comes back and she's dead. So literally there was a specific thing that was going to be said and never was.
Yeah, and his whole thing was that he told her that he had to go do a class, but instead he just drove around all day. like to avoid like having this confrontation with her that he knew was going to like change their dynamic or whatever. Like he talks about that like towards the end of the movie about how much he regrets the fact that he didn't come home sooner because he was too afraid to face her, basically. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, so again, this is my second watch. I really liked it the first time I saw it, and when I watched it again this weekend, I started with like, oh boy, okay, like I know what's gonna happen, and I know this movie really takes its sweet time. Here we go. And at first I was watching it going, okay, all right, I remember this, and I remember this. But then slowly, I'm just being drawn in again and again and again, deeper and deeper. And before you know it, I realized, like, I haven't blinked in, like, a long time watching this. And I got to say, like I said, first time I watched it, I really liked it. Second time, I might love it. Like, I might love this movie. It is so good. It's damn near perfect. I think it is such a tender, intimate, vulnerable look into grief. I think it's just incredibly beautiful because of what you have with. If one of you can kick me the name of the driver, what's her character's name?
The driver's name is Misaki Watari.
Right. So
played by Toko Miura.
She had a trauma in her life somewhat recently when she was 18. Her mother died. And
you're underselling how fucking like epically tragic.
Oh, it is. It is like it's almost operatic in it.
And it's like revealed to you in little ways over time.
Yes, and that's what's so powerful about it. So she had this trauma. He had this trauma. It was 2 years ago because then it jumped in time 2 years later when he's doing this play that's going on in Hiroshima. But what I think is just so beautiful is that it's almost like peeling back the layers of these characters where they're being more vulnerable with each other more and more and more as these events are kind of like molding them. And I think it's quite beautiful that these two characters find each other and enough time has passed since the trauma where they're like comfortable enough to actually truly reflect on it. And they realize, at least I read it, they realize that they've been affected by these events a lot more than they maybe have even cared to admit to themselves or to anyone else. And the fact that we get to witness that is incredibly special and incredibly heartbreaking.
And the way that we get to see it is through one of my favorite fucking aspects of this movie, because you are both correct. This movie rules, it slaps, it owns. One of the best ways that we see that happening is through blocking. The blocking in this movie is fucking nuts.
Very good.
And it tells you so much, particularly in the car. Because when we first see him being driven around by Watari, he is in the back seat on the passenger side.
Right.
As they kind of grow closer, and the first time he kind of talks to her in the car instead of just listening to this tape of his wife, who has recorded all these lines from Uncle Vanya, he is on the driver's side in the back. Then we get a scene where I believe they're driving the leading actor for the first time, maybe?
Yeah, and after they have that very powerful conversation in the back seat.
It's after that conversation. So he's in the back, and then he gets into the passenger seat in the front.
The first time we ever see that.
Yeah,
he's only ever in the back seat.
Choreography going on in the like seating in the car that tells you like where these characters are at with each other.
And when
it doesn't put a fine point on it, but it's just like once you notice it happening, you're like, holy shit, that's so good.
Great example.
One of my favorite Yeah.
Sorry, Alexis, go ahead.
Oh, one of my favorite shots, like when he's like, here's like smoke up basically, because like his rule is like just don't smoke in the car. But after he has that conversation with the lead actor, he's like, I think he's like, oh, I fucking need a smoke, you know? So, you know, he lights hers up, and then they both have their hand. He opens the moonroof, and they both have their hands out of the moonroof, just side by side, each with a cigarette in their hand. I think that is really a powerful representation of like how close they became in like within that amount of time, and then also like the shared tragedy and the shared trauma, you know, because it's like I don't know, you know, I always think of like when people like need a cigarette, that like they're going through it a little bit. So
yeah, for sure.
I was literally just together are good.
I was going to say that exact same thing. What a beautiful shot that is of their hands outside of the moonroof, because again, it communicates visually.
Did you just call it the moonroof?
Moonroof.
That's the sunroof.
Is that the sunroof?
Yeah, it's
the sunroof. Moonroof doesn't open, right?
I don't know. I've never heard of a moonroof.
There are moonroofs. I think moonroofs don't open.
Listen, you're the car guy.
I live in a hot place, so I've never called it a sunroof. I've always called it a moonroof because I would only open it at night.
Wow. You know, we all learn something.
Creature of the night.
Creature of the night.
When they're holding their hands up, it's such a powerful visual representation of these characters that are now, like as Alexis said, in alignment with each other. And it's not through dialogue, it's not through exposition. It's simply an image. And isn't that the point of cinema? Is to use that visually to communicate emotion and ideas.
Much like this podcast.
Yes, a visual medium.
The one other moment of blocking, or the couple other moments of blocking that jumped out at me because they kind of parallel each other, are I think it's kind of the first time that Kafuku is opening up to Misaki about the situation with Oto. They're kind of down by a body of water. And
on the steps?
Yeah, he is...
The gray steps?
Yes,
I love that shot.
He is down like on like the flat part of the promenade or whatever, like closer to the railing near the water, and she's up on the steps looking down at him, and they're like physically separated. Yeah. And then when they go to her hometown and look at the ruins of her house where her mother died, they end up both up on a hill. She's initially down there and he's up there, but then she comes up to him and they're standing together facing the same direction.
Yeah.
And I thought it was really cool how those scenes parallel each other.
It's beautiful.
I do have to bring up one quick, maybe my only problem with this movie is in that step scene down by the water. And it's where they're kind of near a park and Misaki is, she's up on the steps and a kind of frisbee flies over to her and lands by her. And she just lets off the worst fucking backhand I've ever seen in my life. That throw was terrible. And it's just
what are you doing? I was like, damn, that was a bad frisbee throw.
What are you doing?
But
Just
think about
what an awful toss.
It was perfect because it goes up and it lands and then it rolls and the dog scoops it up in mid-shot.
It's awful because she just tacoed that frisbee. When the frisbee hits the ground on its edge, you're going to warp it. She's ruined that frisbee and it's not her frisbee. And I just thought that was... It took me out of the film. I played frisbee in college.
Clearly.
Yeah. I was going to say, I really enjoy stories that are basically about when people meet and they kind of become like surrogate family to each other. And what I thought was so beautiful about this, because the first time I watched this, I was expecting a romance to develop between our two heroes. And I'm so thankful that it doesn't happen. And on a rewatch, I appreciate where the story goes even more because it really is about a daughter and a father finding each other because they're in a way, they're kind of both grieving over the same thing. There's even a moment where they're talking about, he's like, if I was your dad, I would hold you close and I would tell you that it's not your fault. But I can't say that because I'm not your dad. So I killed my wife. You killed your mom.
But then
And
when
it's-
they get
I
to the
wrote
house,
that down too.
Yeah. It's like,
Yeah.
it really is like they kind of, and especially with the line that we mentioned already where he's like, had my daughter actually been born, would have been the same age. Like, it's just all there where it's kind of like in another life, they are father and daughter, and they're both kind of grieving over the same woman in a way where his wife is someone that he loved unconditionally, but there was still so much there that he had issue with.
yeah, she like hurt him very deeply.
Exactly. And the same thing with her mother, that her alternate personality was Sochi, is it?
Sachi.
Is that what it is? Sachi. Where
Sachi.
she
Yeah,
knew
Sachi.
that if she didn't save her mother, she really didn't feel anything. But at the same time, she felt so heartbroken because she knew that Sachi would also die. Because Sachi would be the personality that would come out that would be super tender and almost childlike after she would beat her. And so they're women that, again, they both love so much and appreciate so much, but also shaped them in kind of negative ways. And it's just, the parallels there are just so beautiful. I really love it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that was my main takeaway from the film whenever people would like ask me like, oh, what's it about? Da, da, da. And I was like, oh, I think it's, for me, what it feels like it's about is like learning to accept people as they are without like cherry picking how you understand them. And I think that the movie is quite a lot about this concept of us trying to understand other people. And that's why I really love the conversation between Kafuku and I think it's Takasuki, the lead actor in Uncle Vanya before he, ends up in prison.
I think it's
And like he's
I think it might be Ryu Zhongyue, because I'm pretty sure this is the right actor that I'm looking at a small picture of on Letterboxd.
Nice.
Takasuki.
I don't know. That's not what it says, but please continue. Maybe I'm just looking at the wrong spot. Okay, yeah. Yeah, Takatsuki. Yeah, there we are. Okay. Man, I was about to be really impressed because I was looking at a small picture of him, and then I was like, damn, he's only been in one movie? He was so good. But no, he hasn't. I'm sorry.
All right, Alexis, take it away. That stays in the podcast.
Oh, absolutely.
so
This is a learning moment.
Kafuku and Takasuki are having like a conversation in the back, and that shit is so wild. Okay, that's another thing that I love about this film is, like you guys said, how the car is its own like character and stuff, but it's also like the car is this confessional booth. Like it really reads like a confessional booth, because a lot of times when somebody's saying something that they're revealing about themselves, it's in a like dead on like shot of them, like almost like staring directly at the camera as if they're talking straight to you. So I don't know. I love that. I think he says something like, if you really want to look at someone, then your only option is to look at yourself squarely and deeply. And, I think that's interesting, because you think about how much Kafuku was like fucking killing himself trying to understand his wife, and he was just ignoring everything inside of himself instead. He wasn't looking at himself squarely and deeply, because in many ways he was still afraid to confront the idea, the concept of his wife that he had built up. And is it Misaki? Is that her name? Watari?
Misaki, yeah. Watari.
Yeah, the driver, she kind of breaks that down, and she's just like, isn't it just possible that like all of the things are true, that your wife loved you really deeply, and that she also constantly sought out other men, and like basically like said like, like you don't have to separate those two things. There's nothing actually mysterious about her. That just was how she is, and that's okay to accept that. I don't know, just that idea, that concept was just, it was so beautiful. And he says something about how like we fuck, what does he say? Let's see here. He said, those who survive keep thinking of the dead and
Yeah.
you and I must live like that. We must keep living. And that's why I really love that, because it parallels the very end scene from Uncle Vanya, where Sonia is signing and saying, like, we must go on living. We're going to struggle and we have to work, but we will go on, you know, and eventually there will be this bright, better place for us, you know? So, I don't know.
Yeah. I also love that scene in the end on the snowy embankment atop the crushed house, and you know, when they're really being open to each other. And again, he's kind of been this whole time a little kind of shrugging it off. Death is what, obviously it bothers him, but it's kind of like, oh, it is what it is. You know, I loved her. She was a great woman. And when he's like, if she were here, I would yell at her. I would apologize to her. I just want to see her again. I want her to be alive, but I know that will never happen, and I can't turn back. And just the emotion that he has in that is just so incredibly powerful, because it's honestly like we don't actually see this man until the goddamn second to last scene of the film. Like truly him in his most vulnerable, true self. And same with her. It's hard. It's just like, yeah, it's just so good. It's really, really beautiful. And then something else that I just really love about this film is Oto's story, or different stories. It starts with the lamprey.
Yes.
And then
really quick for context, Oto is a screenwriter.
Right.
And she, earlier in her relationship with Kafuku, she became pregnant and miscarried, and then didn't write for a long period of time.
Right.
And then she started...
No, that's not true.
Is that
Correction
not-
quarter immediately.
Correction? There's so many
had a
fucking
kid.
correction quarters.
They had a kid, and she died from pneumonia when she was 4. The woman who's mute is the one who had a miscarriage.
Gotcha.
Right.
Sorry,
The mute one.
there were too many dead kids in this movie. I got them mixed up.
Wow, too soon.
Is it?
But
anyways, after the death of their child, she didn't write for a long period of time, and then she started to come up with stories after her and Kafuku had sex.
after she would orgasm.
After she would orgasm, she would tell a story that she wouldn't fully remember, and she would make him remember it so he could tell it back to
and
her.
it would be
and she could transcribe it.
fragmented pieces of stories, long fragmented pieces, and then obviously she would be foggy in the morning, wouldn't remember it, and he would have a perfect memory and would give it back, and that's how she became an award-winning screenwriter. And one of the stories is about this girl who's like deciding whether or not if she will allow herself to masturbate in this, I believe it's an apartment. And then
it's the apartment of a boy who goes to her school, who she has like an unrequited love for.
And in the back seat,
that she's like broken into his house.
Right. When Kofuku and Takasuki are talking to each other, and it's basically like out in the open, like, oh yeah, like he slept with her. He cheated on her with him, and they both know it. They both know that the other person knows it.
Yes.
And when he's
the
like,
actor he is cast as the lead in this play slept with his wife.
Takasuki is saying, when this was a story, and Kofuku's like, oh, I've heard that one. It goes like this, right? And then it ends when you hear the footsteps coming up, and then we never find out who it is. And he's like, no, that's not where the story ends. And then proceeds to go on about how it was actually a burglar, and she stabs him in the left eye, which is interesting because that's where he has his what was the disease? Glaucoma in his left eye, which is fascinating to me.
Wow, I didn't even put that together.
And you see him just like almost like aghast that this random love or just fuck that happened in her life knows more to the story than he does, but he's also just kind of super into the story because as a playwright, he's genuinely wants to know what happens. And she kills the burglar, and like the body's there, and she goes, and then suddenly nothing changes. Nothing changes this boy's house as if nothing happened. And then suddenly there's security camera and she's speaking to the security camera. I killed him. I killed him. I killed him. And then still nothing happens. And then that's where that story ends. Is that the ending? Is that the beginning? And what I love about that is that you can so easily apply that to this structure of this film, where it starts with her nude telling a story post-orgasm, and you get this whole story of their dynamics, and then she dies, and then you jump years later, and now there are all these other cast of characters. He's doing this play. He meets the driver, and then suddenly they have this great connection, and now he's not in the picture anymore, and the movie ends with her driving and being the owner of the car, and it's just her driving during COVID with a dog in the back seat. And the ending really plays like the beginning of another story. And it's like, is this the end of the story? Is this the beginning? Does it carry on? And I don't know. I just love it. I got chills just now thinking about it's just so beautiful how this movie just flows and doesn't really have bookends at all, but it still has its conclusions. You still feel like you get a full story, even if you don't necessarily get all these answers. There's a lot of ambiguity with this film, and it's just really, really beautiful, just like the stories that she would tell.
I almost kind of felt like the stories were like her way of like confessing to him a little bit of what she felt. Because I think it's very clear. Yeah, I think it's kind of, I think it's unclear, like at the very beginning, that she's kind of almost despondent at times. But I think when you get the context of them going to pay respects to their, long past daughter, and then you realize, oh, okay, yeah, so there is something off about this couple. And now we know the context around that. And when she's telling that story, and then when you get the full story at the end, to me, it sounds like, she felt that she knew that she had like emotionally wounded like her husband, and because she's like, there was a body in the house. Like, did nobody find the body? Like nothing's changed. So it's like she's done something so terrible, and yet nothing in their life has changed. Like, there's just not that, like, they're connected, but they're not, so I don't know. I felt like that story was like, at the very beginning, I think he says something about like he just wishes like he knew, like she died before he could like talk to her about what had been going on. And one of the Chekhov like lines from Uncle Vanya is that you hear Otto say is, of course, I'm sure that the truth, no matter what it is, isn't that frightening. What's most frightening is not knowing it. And so, of course, he's like, he's haunted by the fact that like he doesn't understand. But to me, when I heard that story in the back seat, I felt like that was her final confession of like how she felt about what she did. Yeah. That there was something so horrible that I did, and yet no one has noticed, and I have to just live with it. And as much as I scream it, no one is listening to me. Because I felt like it was so blatant that she was like having affairs, And,
I mean, she was literally doing it in their house.
Huh?
Yeah, she was literally doing it in their house.
Yeah.
Like
and so I feel like she wanted to be caught up. I feel like she wanted to be caught, So I don't know, which is like, like that's why I really like the part where she was like, maybe there wasn't anything mysterious about your wife. Maybe that's just all that, maybe she was just all of that, and that was it.
I think that's a great read on it. That's the sense that I got from that story as well. Question for you, Alexis. Am I correct in saying that you know a little bit about Uncle Vanya, the play?
I do. I read the play. I also read the short story that Drive My Car is based on by Haruki Murakami. It's in his collection of stories, Men Without Women. So I read both of this.
All right. Well, thoughts, please, on either or both. You're in the driver's seat on this one, so drive that sub to where we need to go.
Yeah, I always find it really interesting looking at like literary adaptions that are made into movies and stuff, because there's always certain elements that like they change around and stuff. I mean, obviously the wife's infidelity and like the stories that she told were a big thing. He has this like conversation with her. He becomes friends essentially with one of her lovers in the short story. And also the relationship with his chauffeur is also like present in the story, but it's only like 40 pages. So and the story just kind of leaves off, like there's no real resolution to it. So I really enjoy the movie because there is a resolution to, feeling so bitter and fucking sad. And then Uncle Vanya is just about a bitter man. So I read that play. It is about it's Uncle Vanya is the uncle, right? And Sonia is his niece, and he runs this estate. And his niece, his sister, is the one who had this girl, right? And oh fuck, let me recenter this. There's a guy who's the professor, and he has a really fucking pretty wife, basically. And this professor supports his urban living by Uncle Vanya and Sonia and the people that like basically work on this farm by like, working on this fucking farm and making the money, and then they live their fucking life. But they come and they ruin everything about the fucking, like the house, like everybody's peace is ruined by this really hot woman that comes into the house, and Uncle Vanya falls in love with her.
This
and so
sounds
does the
like
fucking
Species.
doctor that the niece is also in love with. Like, it's just a fucking shit show. And by the end of it, Uncle Vanya's just like, I don't know how I'm going to go on living. They've decided to leave to give us our peace back. How do we go on living? And that's kind of just it. I don't know. I didn't really see, I feel like I did a lot of research. And I'm not sure if it gave me anything more enlightening. But maybe I need to revisit it again.
Well, I appreciate the Sparks Notes version of Uncle Vanya. I read a little bit about it on Wikipedia today, and I was like, there's fucking no way I can summarize this play. So thank you.
I gave it my best shot there.
That's, listen, if you want a more in-depth discussion of Uncle Vanya, you can fucking go on Spotify and you can go listen to the Play Podcast, episode 2, Uncle Vanya by Anton Chekhov. It's really boring.
You know what you could also do? You could just watch Drive My Car, and then you will have heard basically like 50% of the play already. Yeah, do that. Or read the play. You don't have to listen to their podcast, and I'm not going to link it because it made me angry because I was bored and they were old. I do think that there's quite a lot of like interesting and like kind of inspiring stuff that you can get from like the text. So I mean, like, if you like reading plays, like go ahead and read the play. It does remind me of the mute woman. Her name is Suna. I don't remember.
The Korean woman.
Yeah, she's Korean.
Lee Yuna, I believe.
Yuna.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yuna Lee.
So
Yuna.
Yeah, Yuna. She said, like, he asked her like why you wanted to do this play. The
oh
Kafuku.
my god, that made me cry.
He comes over for dinner, and then she tells him like, oh, so I used to be a dancer, but then I had a miscarriage, and I just couldn't make myself dance anymore. Like it wasn't happening for me anymore. So my husband suggested that I do this. And she said that Chekhov's texts come inside me and moves my body that was stuck before. And Kafuku also talks to Takasuki in the car, at the bar, before they're in the car and having that like confessional moment. He tells him that like Chekhov reveals more of yourself. Like you need to give into the text. Keep reading the text, give into the text, because the text will reveal things about yourself to yourself. And I think that can actually, that might be true. The way that he does his directing style is very like anti-method, you know, like he's making them like without any emotion read these lines over and over again, so that what happens when they're on stage is that it's just whatever is truth that comes out of them, you know. It's so that he wants it, you know, to be new. And so I don't know, just the way that the Chekhov text plays in this movie, it's like the text itself is a living organism throughout this movie, as well as the car, you know.
Yeah, I love where he's like, why did you even cast me for this? He's like, well, you know, you are very talented and you're very clearly good at yielding to your co-actor, your scene partner. Now you need to yield to the text. And then that in that you will really find the truth. And also another line that the Korean woman had that just kind of broke my heart was where she's saying like, yeah, you know, because I sign, I'm just incredibly used to no one understanding my words, no one understanding me. And by doing this play, people understand me. And it's just really nice and it makes me happy. That she's being understood and she's being heard. And because through the text, there's a part of herself that's very much there, and the text is pulling that out of her. And that reminds me, something that I really don't know what to think of it, other than I really admire it, is just this film's use of language. Sign language. When they do Uncle Vanya, everyone is from a different ethnicity and nationality, but they do it in their native tongue. And there's like at least 5 different, and it alternates 5 different subtitles.
Yeah, projected behind them.
Yeah, and it's in Mandarin, it's in Korean, it's in Japanese. They're signing. I mean,
I think
this movie.
I think it's Tagalog is also in there.
Yeah, it could be.
This movie just made me feel real embarrassed for only speaking one language, watching, you know, this Korean guy speak Japanese, Korean, and then Korean Sign Language. Yeah. I was just like, ugh.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm going to get on the podcast and butcher some names that I know.
That reveal where the guy who worked for the art center is like, oh, like she's mute, but I'll translate for her. And I'm like, wow, this guy speaks Japanese, he speaks Korean, and he knows Korean sign language. It's not just sign language, it's sign language in Korean. It's like, wow, man, this guy's just fucking well educated. And then he's like, I'd like to have you over for dinner. I'd like to apologize. About what? Well, I'd like to talk about it over dinner. And then you go there and you're like, what? She is his wife?
She's his wife?
Oh my God. It's just that the way this movie reveals things is just so, I hate to use the word because it sounds pretentious, but it's just so organic. And it's, I just love it. And also when the lead heartthrob, Takatsuki, where he goes off frame for a bit waiting for his ride after that guy took a picture of him and then comes back and you know, like, oh, he whooped his ass, right? And then the police come during rehearsal saying, you confess to having beaten up this man because we caught it on camera. And he goes, yes, that was me. That's correct. Well, he just died of his injuries. And he's like, I know. I heard about it in the news today. And he has like this smile. He's kind of glib about it almost.
But he also just looks fucking dead behind the eyes.
He does. I mean, and that's just what's so interesting about it is he delivers this incredible performance during the rehearsal before the detectives come in, and he's just collapsed to the stage floor and he's not getting up even after they're like, all right, cut. Like that's fantastic. Let's do it like that on opening night. And he's not getting up. And it feels like in that moment he relinquished and he yielded sort of to his consequences. And that's why he's so dead in the eyes, is because he's kind of accepted his fate.
Yeah. That actor, Masaki Okada, is just so fucking good in this movie.
Incredible.
During that their confessional little car ride, when he's reciting the story, he says, tells the part where like she says, I killed him, I killed him, I killed him. And it's so interesting when you like go back and rewatch the movie, because you realize that like without knowing, he is having a confession as well, because he did just basically kill a man, you know?
Damn.
So it's just so interesting how the text and everything just like interweaves so seamlessly with each other.
I have to say, after rewatching Drive My Car, I am so excited to watch. I believe it's called Evil Does Not Exist, which is Hamaguchi's latest film. I think that's playing at TIFF or Cannes right now. That's getting like a lot of press and excitement. But yeah, watching Drive My Car again has just completely made me surrender to Hamaguchi. Like, fuck yeah. I cannot wait to see what this guy has next to say. Because apparently it's like about capitalism and the environment and nature. And so that's a very heavy topic. And so I'm very curious to see how he tackles that.
I'm ready for him to make me sad again.
I mean, he's clearly just got this master stroke when it comes to topics.
Have you guys thought about the fact that like this, like where they're doing the play at, it takes place in Hiroshima, and like, you know, they go to that like garbage plant or whatever, and she tells him, oh yeah, like over there is where they have like the Axis of Peace, or like whatever they erected after the A-bomb like happened. Have you thought about, I don't know, like I was trying to like kind of think contextually about like, oh, what does it mean that this is our story setting, which is the place where like, you know, a fucking atomic bomb fucking went off, and a town probably had to like, you know, restart from scratch in a lot of ways, you know, like a lot of death has happened there. And I don't know, you know, you have this whole story going on in the background where people are, you know, confronting their grief in a town that has seen so much grief. I just thought it was very interesting kind of aspect of that.
Yeah. I agree. I'm, again, you know, first watch, I'm not sure what the significance of that is, but it did jump out.
On a rewatch, I also have no idea of like what the significance of that is. I just was thinking of it.
I guess we got to keep watching it.
But I will say, honestly, with the trash processing plant that she worked, because that's what she's just so good at, is driving. That's all she knows how to do, and she's damn good at it. I got to give props to, because we've just been completely chewing up the text and the themes and everything, because there's just so much to feast on in this film. But aesthetically, I got to talk about cinematography here. Also, I mean, that goes hand in hand with the blocking.
Yes, absolutely.
But I got to give props to, I don't have time to pull it up on my phone.
Hidetoshi Shinomiya.
Is that the cinematographer?
Yes.
Props to this person for making a trash plant look like one of the most cinematically beautiful locations ever. Because I can only imagine, like, on a location scout, they were there like, ugh,
it's a trash plant. It's a trash compactor.
I gotta make this look good, but tender at the same time, and almost weirdly hypnotically peaceful. And they do it perfectly. Just, it's shot so well. It's just, again, it's just this, it's kind of like the direction and the performances of just this very soft touch of, that's how I describe the creation of this film from a craftsman point of view. It's just, it has a very delicate touch with how it does everything: editing, shooting, acting. I mean, it's just great. It's just so harmonious with itself.
Really, really fun that I just want to say it's really fun that we chased The Legend of Drunken Master with this, because you could not get two more different movies.
I mean, honestly, it's kind of a great double feature, really.
You know, it's like Barbenheimer, you know, one that's light and fluffy and one that's gonna be emotionally apocalyptic and destroy your life.
It's honestly kind of astounding how much of this movie takes place in the car, and yet it still is so visual, so cinematic. You never feel like the shots are boring. Even like, you know, I don't know. They got really creative with just like finding different perspectives, like from the outside of the car, the inside of the car, you know, different shot variety, like specifically surrounding the car. And then those like POV shots when they're like denoting the passage of time while they're taking this very long drive to her hometown, and you're just going through all these tunnels, you know?
I love that part.
You would think maybe you don't need that in the movie. Maybe you can just cut to, but no, you do need that movie. That you need to. Yeah. He's sitting with something so that just happened. He's going to have to confront himself when he plays Uncle Vanya, if he does play Uncle Vanya, and so it's like a good time for us as the audience to sit with him as well.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Just
love
process.
it. Living for it.
I've often talked on this podcast about my issues with kitchen sink dramas. You know, plays that are adapted to the screen that are set in one location. And I think when you have a story like this that's so, you know, character driven and relationship driven, and there aren't like, you know, set pieces in this movie, you know, even dramas, you know, famous dramas do have set pieces. Like, you know, you look at something like There Will Be Blood has that big, you know, oil rig explosion. Like there are moments in a lot of dramas where there is like something big visually that's happening. And this movie doesn't, you know, have anything in the text like that. So I think with a story like this, it's so important to find ways to make it visually dynamic and visually compelling and justify why it's, you know, a movie and not a stage play. And I think this just like absolutely does that, and does it in a way that's not like, not a lot of like flashy camera movement. Like it's, you know, there are a lot of like long still shots where the framing is just fucking immaculate and you can't tear your eyes away. It's a good pick, Alexis. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's like, it's obviously a long film, but I can't think of anything that you could cut.
No.
I mean, it's just, it's so of a piece. It's damn near perfect. Yeah. Great film, Alexis. Props. This is shaping up to be a damn good month.
You.
Hell yeah, it is.
I mean, it's Asian Cinema Month, so
is.
obviously it's going to be a month of bangers, but yeah. I'm glad this was what repped Japan.
Yeah.
It's a great modern picture. Yeah. Anything else that we should...
Cool beans.
Alexis, any final thoughts?
Oh, you know what, Mick? You might actually be interested to know that there was the type of car that they use, the Saab, isn't exactly the car that's in the original short story. It's like a yellow Saab. But I think I was watching like a video of the director, and he was talking about like how in order to shoot a certain way, they had to use this version of the Saab. So I don't know anything about cars. Otherwise, I would tell you what the different versions of them were. But that was just a side note for you, sir.
Interesting. Wow. Well, I'm glad they went with red.
Yeah, it's, I mean, that shit
Just pops. I mean, honestly, it reminds me, there's a couple of shots, again, with just the framing, with the landscape. And, like, you'll see the car at the bottom of a hill in the distance, and you'll see the characters just kind of coming up a hill. And I'm like, God damn it, it's like an anime. Like, it's just, it looks drawn. Like, it looks so intentional. I mean, it is intentional with the way they framed it when they chose locations, but it's just like...
It's just so precise.
It's just so precise. It's just so incredible. It's just one of those times where you watch a movie and you're like, holy shit. Like, a film crew went out and captured this. Which is incredible. Yeah.
Lovely. Well,
Beautiful.
Great pick. Very glad I watched this.
Yeah.
But now it's my turn to pick a movie.
Yeah, where are we going?
We've been to China, we've been to Japan, we've been to Korea.
Okay.
We're going to pop over to Indonesia.
Oh, okay. Cool.
You know, I hummed and hawed about this. There were some Thai films that I wanted to talk about that are nowhere on the internet. There were some Vietnamese movies that I could not find anywhere online. And since Oldboy, I mean, Oldboy's in theaters, but like, Alexis had to, get like 7 different computer viruses to watch
Risk
it.
50,000 viruses to try to watch that movie. I
decided that I would pick something that's on Netflix.
Okay.
And that is 2018's The Night Comes for Us, which is directed by Timo Tayonto and stars Iko Uwais and Joe Taslim.
If we had to put it into a genre, what are we looking at here?
It is a crime and gangland film, and it is also a fight movie.
Oh, great. Love that.
It is, I went back and forth on like, do I want to put another fight film in Asian Cinema Month? And I think that I do, because this is a movie that I've seen part of, enjoyed, and did not finish. And I think that it is tonally so vastly different from our other fight film that we talked about this month, The Legend of Drunken Master, that I do not think that we are repeating ourselves here. And if you watch both, I am sure you will agree, because this is a dark film. We're in the bummer zone right now. So get ready. Get ready to
What's
get
it called again?
The Night Comes for Us. It's
The
on
Night
Netflix.
Okay, Night Comes for Us. Cool.
Yes.
I'm excited. I've never even heard of it.
Yeah, it's.
I love a fresh picture.
Yeah. So, if you want to find that movie, again, one more time, on Netflix, and if you want to find us, the Film Majors, on social media, you can find us at Film Majors Pod on Instagram, Threads, and TikTok. And if you want to shoot us an email and tell us, since we're talking about an Indonesian picture next week, what's your favorite movie out of Indonesia? Have you seen any? Let us know. You can email us at filmmagerspod@gmail.com. And with that, I think we can finish up. Let's get on out of here.
Let's hop out of what's going on.
Shit.
Oh, wait, no, shit.
Fucking
Fuck.
well
No,
past
no,
that.
shit. Cut
Bye.
that.